In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create your first web test and then execute that test using the built-in Design Canvas execution, or you can use Visual Studio's execution. So to begin, let's start with a new blank test project. So we're going to go to New Project, Test Project, Type, and then Test Project. And then what we'll do in here is we'll say Add a new test. And you'll notice the web test shows up with all the rest of the test templates in Visual Studio. So we'll click web test and we'll leave the default name. Now, whenever you add a new web test, if it's the first one within a test project, you'll notice that this project.elements file gets created. This is actually the strongly typed representation of all the elements that are within a given project. But we'll talk about that here in a second. So we'll make sure our web test 1 is loaded. And to begin recording, what we can do is click record, and this will actually pull up the recording surface. So now let's actually just create a simple test where we'll navigate to Google. And then we'll type in our search text, which is ArtOfTest's. Now you'll notice as I'm actually recording in the surface, we're actually getting steps being added to the Test Explorer. So we have our navigate step, and then now we have our set input text to ArtOfTest. So we'll go ahead and click search. As we do that, the click input submit comes up. So at this point, what we'll want to do is just create a very simple verification. So let's go in, turn on our overlay surface, and you'll notice as we hover over elements, it highlights them. So we'll go in and we want to verify that this text right here is ArtOfTest. So if we pull up the context menu, you'll notice that under quick tasks we actually have verifications and weights. So for our verification, what we'll do is we'll say, well, our text contains ArtOfTest. Now the nice thing about these quick tasks is it allows you to create verification or weights that are very simple and generated dynamically from the page. Or you could go into the verification builder itself and craft it having access to all the different attributes of the element. So for now, we'll just do verify text contains. So now we have 4 steps: the navigate, the set input, the click, and then do the verification on the search results. So let's turn our overlay surface off. And now at this point, we have a very simple test, and what we can do is we can use the quick execution feature of Design Canvas. This button right here will actually quickly execute the test that we've recorded so far, not using Visual Studio, but the built-in mechanism within Design Canvas. So let's go ahead and do a quick execution. Now you'll notice it pulls up the browser and executes all 3 steps and does a verification. We get an indication that all the steps passed, and we can actually view the results here. So we can see the results for each step, the time that it was executed, and the result. So now, that test came up and went pretty quickly. So what we can do if we want to while we're building tests is actually slow them down to make sure that, the situation and the test is actually panning out like you recorded it. So what we can do is we can enable annotation here. And so this is currently set to execute on Internet Explorer. We'll have annotation enabled. And then this right here is the execution delay. So this is actually in milliseconds, and what this will do is it'll set the timing between the steps. So it'll navigate, wait 600 milliseconds, then go to the next step. This way you can actually slow down what's happening as the test executes, so you can see what really happens. So let's see what this does. So we'll click quick execute again. Now you'll notice that as it's performing the actions in the browser, it's actually annotating them. So it's setting the text, it's clicking the button, and then it does the verification. Now verifications don't actually have an annotation because they're going on in the background. So we can see again that it passed and everything's good. And then if we want to, we can actually switch this. We'll turn annotation off and go to Firefox. Execute. So then it'll pull up Firefox, perform our execution, and close it down. So we get a notification that all of our steps passed. So that's how you quickly execute your test in Design Canvas while you're crafting it. Now, if you want to use Visual Studio's execution model, you can come over here to the test view. And if your test view isn't visible, you can actually go up to Test, and then Windows, and then Test View. And this will actually pull up all the tests that are currently in your loaded solution. So let's come over to the test view, and what we'll do is we'll just right mouse click and say Run Selection. So it'll build, do the execution, and then we'll get the Visual Studio test results window down here, which will say, our test passed. We can double click it and actually get the results here. So that's how you create a new web test and how you can execute it quickly using Design Canvas's built-in quick execution feature, or you can use Visual Studio's execution model.